is LSU is playing out for the protection of your guest today.
Perfect.
There you go. Synthesized voice and everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
Oh, of course.
Very cool. Here, I'm going to try this. It's difficult to, damn it. I'm not going to mute this, but you just have to put up with my shouting.
Oh.
Melanie, I had a whoops. I didn't have an accident, I had a whoops. I knocked my scotch glass off and it dumped it into the garbage and then hit the edge of the garbage can and sat up. So, there's a little bit of scotch. But, so, I'm busy. Would you give me another one, please? Thank you, dear.
Mel,
he's calling you. Here, just a second. Hang on a second.
Oh, while you're at it, I'll have one of those too.
Okay, I'll get you one as well.
Yeah,
So I listened to a woman that was interviewed. She's 26 years old from North Korea. And I bring it up from
North Korea.
Yeah.
Okay.
She managed to get out of North Korea at the age of 13. And her story, the reason I bring it up is just phenomenal. The story of survival and hope, I guess, in some respects. But a 26-year-old who has such wisdom and understanding, it just blew me away. And she managed at 13 to get out of there. Her and her mother managed with a broker to get across this particular river, and what they do is they have guards every 200 yards or whatever it is, so that, and they're with the intention of shoot to kill. If anybody gets out on that river, either swims it or in the winter on the ice, shoot to kill. And so they bribed some of the guards and managed to take them across. But what they're doing primarily is bringing them in as sex slaves. And
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And of course, they don't realize that at the time. They just think that they're able to. And what she was thinking at 13 years old is, well, maybe if I go over there, people will give me some food. Because she said, that's all they ever thought about was, where do they get their food from next? Like, they're so hungry. And that's all you think about. It's like, what am I going to eat next?
It's an amazingly repressive regime.
Well, she managed to get to, ultimately, she ended up, because she was a virgin, and the guy, I think someone tried to get onto her, but she was able to fight them off to the point where somebody realized, oh, I can make more money from you because you're a virgin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she, I think, was then talked into becoming like a mistress type thing. I don't know exactly that part, but she figured it out, was able to get out of there, get down to South Korea. Then she ended up, I think, in Europe at some point. But now she's in the States. She's now married and has a young child. She's written a book, and she has traveled now the world with getting invited to these conferences to talk about her experience. And one of the questions, one of the things that the interviewer said to her was, what do you think is the problem here in the States? And she said, well, from my experience, what I believe, when you have too much and you have no problems, that's a problem.
You know, she sounds remarkable, and I always get into this when I try to talk in the space I'm in.
Yeah.
Because words are simply pointers. Words cannot transmit the truth. They can only point to the truth. It's a very difficult concept to put across. Where I'm going with this is that it's remarkable because she is one of the ones that happens to be on the path. There may have been many, many other North Koreans that have an opportunity to be on their path, but you know, they don't take action, and they therefore stay in their path, which is where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Where arguably in life, exactly in the situation and the circumstances that we are in, and it's precisely perfect. If it wasn't, we would be dealing with something else or be someplace else.
Are you saying that that's kind of like a place where you're meant to be?
No, it's the place where you are. There is no meaning.
Yeah.
You just are where you are. What occurs with these individual stories is that these people, which they were always supposed to do because it's what they're doing, and then you can assign right or wrong, or and this is where the duality comes in, because it can't reflect non-duality. It can only reflect the duality of our human nature for probably everybody but 0.003% on the planet, or 1.2% on the planet, people that are really enlightened. And what occurs is that these people garner this phenomenal attention from the world to tell their story, and they become the leaders, and then they polarize the world. Look at what happened with this Greta Thunberg,
Oh yeah.
the 16-year-old from Norway, and that's all proffered by the media
Yes.
to bring it into the light that you want your viewers and your audience to see, and you put your own spin on it. Like CNN will say, well, how could Trump be like that to her? And then you get into the Republican side of it. Well, there's no real climate change. We never look at the opposite side of the coin. And the opposite side of the coin cannot exist without our view. And our viewpoint cannot exist without the other viewpoint. And it becomes very polarizing because it pushes our buttons.
Yeah.
And it's so very cultural and inbred. And so we're just on her path. And an example, her twin sister could have gone across with her and spent her life, and she's still a sex slave over there, right?
Mhm. Well, an interesting point, because she has met up with her sister who has managed to get out, but her sister is very bitter.
Yes.
So it's two different approaches to the experience.
The same experience, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Two
so
sides of the coin, like you said.
I would only encourage people to sometimes step back and try to detach from a personal point, or a very specific point of reference that has them really hooked in. Try and detach from that hooked into itness, whatever the word is. Try to detach from being hooked in and see, just on an intellectual basis, if we can now become an observer of what it is that we are doing, and how we proliferate the divisiveness until we're conscious of it. That's really what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of stuff in that. There's a great deal of content and depth to what it is that I said, and it's simply not very simply, but it's simply an illustration. It's trying to discuss the fact that we're really all one. We're really all the same, because we all have these propensities in ourselves.